Hello, everyone watching, and welcome to another DMI Team Talk. This week, we're looking at how to best utilize LinkedIn. So, today, we're going to look at how to upkeep your business page, how to run some paid ads, and how to make best use of analytics. And we hope to move through it quite quickly, but we hope that the information, although concise, is going to be very helpful at helping you generate leads or connect with your customers really well through the platform of LinkedIn. So, to begin, we're going to look at some numbers on LinkedIn and just show you how significant of a platform this is in a lot of people's funnels. So if we start with some top line statistics, 13 million companies are currently on LinkedIn, and there's 500 million LinkedIn users. So those 13 million customers are all vying for the attention of those users. But what we see within that is that 51% of companies on LinkedIn set up as a LinkedIn business page have acquired at least one B2C customer through LinkedIn. A massive 93% of B2B marketers consider LinkedIn to be the most effective site for lead generation. And note, that's for B2B marketers. And we'll see a theme perhaps with B2B being a little bit more relevant or finding a little bit more success with LinkedIn in general. LinkedIn is responsible for 64% of all traffic from social media channels to corporate websites, and that's specifically corporate websites. So again, playing into B2B being a more significant type of business or industry, for LinkedIn. LinkedIn generates more leads for B2B companies than Facebook, Twitter, or blog posts individually. So any of those three, they do not provide as much traffic as LinkedIn generally does for B2B. 50% of LinkedIn members report that they are more likely to buy from a company they engage with on LinkedIn. 80% of LinkedIn members want to connect with companies to enhance their decision making even. So these are very significant numbers. They show a lot of influence for LinkedIn, specifically with B2B. But even if you are within a B2C company, within a team, or you own a B2C company, everything we're going to look at in the next subsequent slides is still relevant because the platform is becoming even more effective at reaching B2C as more people come online and become LinkedIn users. So essentially, there's a massive audience in there for both types of business model. First, we're going to look at how to optimize your company page. Now, this is simply finding the way to put all the information together on your page and better reach or become more searchable for people who might be interested in you. The first step is a really obvious step. It's to complete all the page details. You'll be familiar with this even on your own personal profile. There are steps, information to fill in. You give a little bit of information about your career and so on. But with your company page, we're going to go through here some of the best quick wins just to make sure your page is fully optimized. And we see here from the very top of this slide that fully optimized completed company pages get 30% more views. For a lot of you watching, you may actually have a page that looks quite good, but it might only be 70% completed or 80% completed. So what we're looking at is the significance here of having everything filled out and all up to date. So the first thing to do is obviously with your profile picture or your banner images, have something relevant in there, have something high quality, very presentable. Again, it might be obvious, but it's a simple quick win if you don't have this. And remember that whether it be a profile picture or a banner size, there are specific image sizes here that you should be using for it to come out best on your mobile device or your laptop device. So we see here, for example, the specific pixel measurement here for a banner on desktop. And you have a choice with your banner. You can do a lot of creative things. It could be very simple. It could just be your company logo, for example. But you could also use the banner as an opportunity to put further information such as a call to action or an upcoming event and so on. So you'll see this commonly. And you should be thinking about how to best utilize these spaces. Essentially, try to use it as you would a website. But if we look through the next sections, we have an About Us section, and you should use this section to include relevant keywords, something we're going to look at in a little bit more detail on the next slide. Definitely include the URL to your company website page or any services that you provide, any kind of landing page that you have that will essentially be a backlink as well. You should have or make good use of the call to action button there as well. The call to action button doesn't necessarily need to link to your website. It could be to download a brochure, but very basically, it should align with your goals, and you can actually track the metrics on there, as it says here, to who has clicked on that, and who's gone on to view whatever page, or whatever download is available there. Simple things like your address and the country you're headquartered in, and your industry and company size, they should all be up to date. They should be accurate. People are actually looking for this information, whether they be leads or just general browsers. People at the kind of brand awareness stage or consideration stage, they want to know these things, and they want to be able to find them very quickly. So make sure they're there for people. And also, the other side of LinkedIn is you may be using it for recruitment. So make sure to build a career page for job opportunities. Even if you don't currently have any, build out that page so that you can update it regularly, and people know that it's there, they can check it, and that you're fully competent and you're looking after everything, and you have a kind of one-stop shop there. And then also you should make good use of showcase pages. These pages are actually very underutilized by a lot of businesses that are on LinkedIn. We're going to look at them here very quickly, but showcase pages are essentially extensions of your LinkedIn page. Think of them as landing pages, still on LinkedIn, but you can link to them, and you can give more information there and spotlight different aspects of your business. You could have individual brands. Let's say if you have an umbrella company like Unilever, who have many brands, they will have many of these showcase pages for their different brands. And indeed, their different brands will also have their own company pages. But you can do lots of other creative things here. You could have different products in here, and you could have different services. You could spotlight some work that you're doing, let's say charitable work, sponsorships, or even some events that you have upcoming. So this is a very useful space to build out a lot of information on something that's important to you and your company. And as I said before, they're very underutilized, and they may just make your page or your company stand out on LinkedIn. If we look at optimizing your company page overall, we really need to think about where it ranks. This dictates how searchable or how findable you are on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn actually works internally, or when you're actually on the platform, it works like a search engine in and of itself. So you have to consider that. But when people are actually using Google or other traditional search engines, you want to make sure that they can find your business page, or say something like your showcase page, very easily. And you can do this in a number of ways. And a lot of these techniques are similar to standard SEO and the approaches that you would take with a normal website. So you would start off simply by looking at a keyword-rich profile. I mentioned this a couple of slides ago, but in the About You section on your business page, you have an opportunity here to do some keyword research, find out what people are looking for in relation to your industry, your product, or your service, or your company overall, if it's a very large company in particular. And make sure that you have keyword optimized this About section. It's actually quite significant, both on LinkedIn when people are searching and when they're searching through Google. Just like a website, keep an eye on backlinks on your LinkedIn page, on your business page. Track them, make sure they're relevant, understand exactly where you're linking to, if you have any broken links, and approach it the exact same way you would a website with regards backlinking strategy. Look for content that's original, and make sure that, of course, you're making relevant posts and you're linking to articles that are relevant to what it is you do as a company, your industry, what's happening with your industry, and trends and so on. Original content will actually be a SEO factor, again, both on LinkedIn and both through traditional search engines like Google. And again, the fully completed profile is a ranking factor as well, particularly on the platform LinkedIn. With images, as with traditional SEO, you should look to have good images that are going to load quickly. They're not too rich, or they're not too big a file size, and so on. And in terms of what images to use, you should be thinking of images that showcase your product, your company culture, again, perhaps an upcoming event, a product launch, and so on. So have a strategy behind the images that you use, but also make sure that they're going to load on a mobile device and all those other SEO aspects. When we actually look at a bit of a deeper dive on content, there's some simple tips here that they should, and they're actually statistics too, but they should outline to you maybe what types of content you should be using for your businesses and some best practices. So if we look at images alone, the use of images, as opposed to not using an image and just having some text, you would expect on average to actually have twice as much of a comment rate under a post if it's using an image. And this comes from LinkedIn's own statistics. They see that if you're using a number of images, like a collage, you can perform about 3 or 4 to 5 times better. So it's kind of saying more images, the better here, but obviously they've got to be relevant, and they've got to be relevant to the message of the post, and overall, they've got to be relevant to your company. But bear that in mind if you're taking care of LinkedIn and all the content posting there, you should be bringing in images, and as we're looking at now, video, because video gets 5 times more engagement on LinkedIn. Will get you 5 times more engagement than a traditional post, and live video, which is what we're doing here for you now, gets 24 times more engagement. Very significant. I've left in a link in here for the LinkedIn Live application policy. Now, I don't have time to go through it today, but if you visit this link here, you'll be able to see the criteria for being allowed to post live videos on LinkedIn. And they look at things such as the previous content that you've posted, the kind of images, the actual text. Is it quality? Is it relevant? They do a manual review to see if you're suitable. But the approach overall for you should be, if you're not very active on LinkedIn, you should basically start with standard video. You should build up a bit of a content calendar, and then you should look at doing some LinkedIn Live. You can, of course, link to articles on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn have a very kind of cool feature there where they have LinkedIn content suggestions. It's actually a drop-down tool that they have on your business profile, and that will actually allow you to find topics that are trending in your industry and amongst your audience, the people that follow your page. A very, very useful link if you're trying to build out a content schedule and understand what your audience are going to find interesting. And then we mentioned before having a career section, but for job postings, if you're using LinkedIn as a platform to do this, perhaps your HR department, be sure to include relevant hashtags and publish job postings to industry groups as well, so you actually can link off not just posting on your page, but posting in groups on LinkedIn. And the hashtag is not just relevant to jobs postings. Use of hashtags is similar to the use of hashtags on Twitter or even Facebook or Instagram. You want to make sure that you're using relevant terms for your hashtag, or relevant hashtags that people are actually using in their own posts, and it makes you more discoverable, and you can actually get your post or your video or your article in front of more eyes, basically, if you're using a good hashtag strategy. Now we'll turn to the paid side of LinkedIn advertising. So basically, if you're completely new and you've never ran a LinkedIn advertising campaign, a paid campaign, simply to begin, go to this link here on the slide. That will bring you straight to setting up your account. Very, very simple to do. But what I'm going to do in the next slides is just walk you through very quickly the short steps in terms of setting up a LinkedIn paid ad. So the very first thing you do here after you've set up your campaign manager account and when you're launching your first campaign is to determine an objective for your ad. Now, this is similar to, say, Facebook Ads Manager or even running paid ads on Twitter. A lot of these social companies now have the same or a similar kind of setup or steps in terms of setting up an ad. But determining your objective is obviously one of the most important things you need to do. You will inherently have something you're trying to achieve when you're launching a paid ad. And you can see here the options on the slide. It will either fall into one of these three categories: awareness, consideration, or conversions. And then you can see there are subsections here. So under consideration, website visits, engagement, that would be engagement with a post, video views, and under conversions, you have lead generation, website conversions, or job applicants, and that would be a conversion through your job postings on LinkedIn on the job section there. And if we look here on the left, I'm going to just kind of the left of this image, I should say, we're going to quickly run through these: audience, ad format, placement, budget, and schedule. and conversion tracking. They're actually very short steps to set up a campaign here. Probably the one step that you might spend the most time with actually might be the ad format and actually the creative for your campaign as well. But if we move on here to look at the next part, so when you're building an audience and setting up a budget and uploading your creative, you're going to see the following kind of set of images. You come first to choosing a target audience. Now, this image here at the top, what you're looking at is you essentially have two key categories of targeting. You have preset audiences, right? And you can see here in the image it has a list upload, so you can literally upload a list of emails to target. You have a lookalike option. Now, we don't have a lot of time to get right into what that is today, but that's basically machine learning and it's automation. LinkedIn will use the people who engage with your company or with your ads already, and they'll find people with similar profiles. So they're kind of using intelligence there, artificially or machine learning, to basically go out and find good leads or good views or good engagement among similar people. You have retargeting options and you have third-party options, so you can link in with a number of different platforms there. What you might be doing though for your first campaigns is testing out this other section here, audience attributes. And very simply, this is going to allow you to select an audience either by their job title, by their industry, by their seniority within their company, or even by their skills. And there's more options than that to look through. And all the time while we're selecting an audience, on the right hand side, as you can see on the right hand side of this image, it will give you forecasted results. So it will estimate the audience size, and it will give you an estimate of how much you would need to be spending per day or per every 30 days to achieve that reach, and it would be giving you the frequency of how often your ads will be seen. So here it's between 1 to 2.5 times the ad will be seen by each user in that group if you're spending that budget. And all of that information is helpful for you to kind of see if it aligns with your goals or other campaigns you've run elsewhere online and so on. The next step that you'll come to, or one of the next steps, is choosing an ad format. And we can see here we have 8 different ad formats. We can't run through them all today and describe them, but a lot of them speak for themselves. The single image ad, carousel ad, you'll be familiar with them even on Instagram and Facebook, video ads, text ads, spotlight ad, which is essentially just on LinkedIn's platform, but it's on the right hand side, a follower ad, which it's almost like a native ad. It fits in. It looks like it's similar to when someone's following you, or you have someone requesting to add you on LinkedIn, and then you have a conversational ad and an event ad. So you have a lot of different formats to choose from. And my best advice for you, if you're new to doing this, is just to look through how all those formats work. When you click on these, LinkedIn will give you a bit of a kind of brief description of how each looks, and even do some Googling around what those different ad formats look like to see which ones are most suitable. You'll then come on to, and you'll be asked to pick a placement for your ad. Now, it's actually very simple, the options they put in front of you. It's really to uncheck or check this first box here, which is enable the LinkedIn audience network. Now, very simply, if you don't check this box, your ads will only run on the platform of LinkedIn under the different formats we just seen on the previous slide. So you choose the format. If you do check this box, your ad will actually appear elsewhere online on different websites using LinkedIn's audience network. Facebook have something very similar, and essentially what LinkedIn have done is they've gone out and they've partnered with a lot of websites of all different kind of categories, and your ad would also show up to that particular LinkedIn member that's in your audience when they're browsing elsewhere online. You then move on to choosing your budget and schedule. You'll align these with perhaps how you strategize other ads, but you're selecting how much you'd like to spend per day. Or you don't have to do a daily budget, you can do a lifetime budget. So you can select how much you'd like to spend in a month or per week, for example. You schedule a start date, and you can actually schedule an end date as well if you wish. And then what you'll move on to eventually is basically the creative for the ad that you're about to run. So very simply, you'll have you can give the name of you can give the ad a name. That's for your own purposes in the reporting. That won't be shown to anyone who views your ad. But you'll have an introductory text. You can include a URL or exclude a URL. And then you can have an image or the different formats that we looked previously. So you may upload a video here, and then you'll have a simple headline, description, and a call to action. So very simple, very similar to other platforms, particularly social ones like, again, Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and very effective as well through its simplicity, because we're all scrolling through LinkedIn on our phones and so on. So the easier the format here, the more engagement, the more clicks, the more traffic. And finally, what I'd say is once you've optimized your page, once you're started with your paid ads, you will want to be engaging with LinkedIn Analytics. And you have a number of different options. I should say, if you're running paid campaigns, there will be reporting in that section in Campaign Manager. It's actually relatively straightforward to look through. It's not quite as complicated as, say, running Google Ads, for example. You get a lot more information back on Google Ads, which is great, but it's also a little bit more sophisticated and harder to look through. It's a lot more simplistic on LinkedIn, but you will find, let's say, the click-through rates and the views and the engagement, and they will have an optimization score and so on LinkedIn Campaign Manager. But there's also another section for just looking at your standard kind of business page on LinkedIn, and you can look through a number of different metrics. So it gives you breakdowns here. So we have them in front of us here. So you can look at the followers, how many followers you're gaining or losing, and they will break that down by demographic or location. You can do the same for visitors. So they're not necessarily followers. They're people who visit your page, and they do differ from followers. Followers are a little bit more engaged. So visitors, again, you can look at them by demographic, location. There's actually a number of other kind of metrics in there. You can look at your competitors. So you can actually compare your page with companies related to you or companies, let's say, in direct competition. Employee advocacy. So that's actually the feedback from your own employees, particularly relevant to large multinationals. If you've got above, let's say, 100 or 250 employees, it's quite hard for any company to be constantly getting feedback from them directly, let's say in the office or even by survey. So it's nice to have that place there on LinkedIn to kind of compare, let's say, with other HR activities. And you have another section, talent brand. So that's engagement with your career pages in particular. So there's a lot within there to look through. I hope all of this together has been a useful kind of quick tour through how to best use LinkedIn. But just before you go, I'd like to just actually flag for you something that's upcoming at the Digital Marketing Institute that may be of interest to any of you watching. So we have an upcoming webinar which includes a competition. So the competition will be a chance to win a free DMI track short course. If you navigate to our website, you will see there's many different options for those particular short courses. They range from creative type short courses to more technical ones, everything from SEO to e-commerce and so on. But for this particular webinar, and they're giving away one of these free tracks to someone who has liked, shared, and commented on this particular post. You will find this post and all the information in this post on our page. It's actually one of the top posts here, and you can use this link here to navigate straight through it. But simply go to the Digital Marketing Institute LinkedIn page and view this particular post. You'll get all the details here with a link here to go straight to the webinar as well. And this particular webinar should be a very good one. It's with Kevin Nave, who is a digital marketing manager from Facebook, and he is going to talk to us all about working in Facebook and actually how to get a job in Facebook. Kevin here, as you can see from this particular image, did it actually without any degree, any formal degree. So there should be a lot of good advice for you, any of you who want to work for large tech companies in that particular webinar, but also registering here, great chance to win a free DMI track. That's all from me today. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. We hope to all see you soon, and I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. Take care and goodbye.